Aston Villa obviously brings back memories of the playoff semi-final. I know you'll be just concentrating on that game, but do you think that gives it a little bit more edge, that those players who were involved in that very, very tight first leg particularly would give them quite a lot of satisfaction to get one over Villa?
I don't think it's that. I think it's another, it's a new season. It's another game against a very good club. I was absolutely delighted that Dean got the job. I think it's great that a British manager has managed lower down and then has got one of the big clubs. And Villa is a big club, and for Dean to have done as well as he did at Walsall and then follow it up with a real good spell at Brentford, where he laid the foundations. Really for their, for what they believe in, what they're doing, and what they're trying to achieve, is great reward for him. And I'm sure he'll do well there.
Can we read anything into that incredible 5-5 draw the other day? I mean, it might be good news for your forwards, perhaps, or bad news for your defenders.
I watched the game, and those games don't come along very, very often. And it was a great game to watch. I think, like you say, for both sides, in respect of attacking, they would have been delighted, but defending, maybe not so much. So, but they're a good side. For, you look at their forward line, you have a look what they've got up front. And, I was disappointed to see Steve lose his job. I think in the game, when you work with people and work against people for a long, long time, you gain respect. But like I say, he's been dealt a very strong hand of cards, and I expect them to be there or be thereabouts.
And you obviously had to come from behind in midweek against Preston, and it must have given you some satisfaction to sort of show the grit at the side, kind of dig deep when it needs to.
Yeah, we have two tough games. I think the thing about the Preston game was that we'd played Saturday night as well on TV, and we never got back home till past 12 o'clock. It was a real long day. And then we gave them Sunday off, so we've only had one day. We only had one day to prepare. That was the Monday, and then we're travelling again Tuesday to get down there to play the game. So it's tight, and it needs a lot of working out. You're worried about and concerned about the health of the players, as well as playing against the Preston team that hadn't been beaten for 6 or 7 games. So, to get 4 points out of the 2 games, was very, very pleasing.
It's really hard to call the championship this season. Is it, do you think, going to end up being one of the tightest of all time?
Well, I can't see it changing. I can't see the run of games being any different to what they have been. Anybody on a given day can beat anybody. I think the window is a big window, maybe for half a dozen clubs, if they can strengthen and bring 1 or 2 players in that can make them more potent, either whether it's defensively or for us more in respect of the final third. It's going to be a big window. It's going to be a big time.
I know you don't want to talk about the newspaper article. One thing in it is that you are a manager who knows how to win matches. How much is managerial now going to play a part this season, do you think?
I think there's, as I said before, having managed in the league, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, the league's changed. If you have a look at the quality now of the players in the league, if you have a look at the stadiums, you have a look at the teams that are in the league, and you have a look at the coaches, you have a look at everyone you're playing, or most of the teams you're playing have got experience of working at the top level, so they're good coaches. They're setting the teams up well. The teams are physically strong, and they're well set up. And you sprinkle then that with good players, and a lot of the teams have got good players. It's a very, very exciting league, and I think it's a league that's only going to get better, I've got to be honest.
You've talked about how pleased you've been with the commitment and the focus of the players, but you've also talked about perhaps what you're missing a little bit. You'd like a little bit more pace. You'd like 1 or 2 things. In terms of January, have you and Steve sort of sat down and thought we need that much to get us perhaps over the line?
He's known. I think he's known that since the window closed in August. I think that we had targets and we just couldn't get them. The bottom line was, it wasn't as though we weren't trying to bring players in. We were trying to bring players in, but the club had previously spent over £50 million on 7, 8 players, and the thing that was big in my mind was rectifying that spend. and bring it back to a level that, you know, this club can afford and run with. And I think that has been, for the first year of being in charge of this club, that's been one of the main issues. You know, you want to put the club in a stable position financially. You know, Steve has been a benefactor at this football club for you know, decades, and the money that he's put in has been absolutely enormous. I think he deserves the respect of you know, running the club diligently, but trying to run it successfully as well. And you know, if and when I leave, you know, I don't want to be one of them leaving where the club financially is, you know, in a bad position. I want everything to be, you know, a little bit better than what it was.
But even if it's a sell to buy in January, could it be the case that one or two astute signings could be the difference between top 2 and top 6?
It's all according to what sign. I didn't do it in August. I didn't do it in the previous January window. I won't just sign players for the sake of signing players. I don't think that's a good policy. So we have to get and try and get the right players. Yes, we might not be able to get, you know, the top ones that we want, but the ones underneath might be worth the chance and might be worth the risk. What I won't do is go under that and just take players for the sake of taking players. I don't think that's a policy I've ever worked with.
And no doubt about it, the Riverside crowd's going to be up for this one on Saturday, tomorrow.
I hope the players are up for it as well. Never mind the crowd. I just think it's a great game. You know, we've had a wonderful first half of the season. We've got a lot to look forward to. You know, we've got you know, Burton coming up soon in the quarterfinals of the cup. We're a couple of points off the top of the table. You know, we're in profit in what we've bought and what we've sold, so there's a bit of money there to spend as well. You know, the players deserve a hell of a lot of credit for what they've achieved and what they've done for this football club. And you know, as a manager, as I've said to him before, you know, it's lovely to have a group of players who really give everything, whether it's training or whether it's on a Saturday. Yes, we will lose games. Yes, we won't play well every week, and yes, we won't get the results that everybody wants. But you can't criticise them for what they want to achieve for this football club.
Rudy Shistad, Lewis Wing, can you update us on that and any other injury?
Well, Rudy won't be nowhere near fit for Saturday. Wingy, we're still assessing him, whether we get him involved in this game or rest him and leave him for the following week. We'll make a decision on that, or I'll speak to the medical people on that. He trained yesterday, but obviously with it being what it was, we've got to make sure that the kid's health is first and foremost in our minds.
And with Rudy, hamstrings could be 3, 4, 5 weeks.
Could be 10 days.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, we're like I say, we're looking forward. I hope, you know, and pray they're all looking forward as much to the game tomorrow as I am.
Tony, you spoke about running it the right way and not just, you know, splashing the cash to bring in players. So it's good on the other side of things to see the youngsters coming through, the likes of Marcus and Lewis, making an impact for you.
Well, you forgot Dale as well. You know, Dale's been superb. The club has got, as I keep saying, it's got, and it spends a lot of money on the academy, and they've got some good players. The big thing with the academy is that they've not, in my opinion, over the past 12, 13 years, they wanted to isolate it, the people who set it up, and they wanted total control of the development of kids coming through. Now that's fine to a certain point, I can understand that, but in the end, you know, you have to take your head mask off and you have to go into the ring and you have to, you know, you have to compete in competition, and that's where they've fallen down. Over the past 2 or 3 years, clubs have come to realise that these young players have got to get out and put their foot in the water, and that's what's happened, and it's happened at this football club, and I think you've seen the benefits. And we've got, what is it, 6 or 7 players out at the moment playing you know, lower league football, and you know, that's very, very important in their development. And I'm delighted with the 3 that you've mentioned. I think they've done absolutely fantastic. It's great that they're local lads. It's absolutely fantastic. I think there's nothing better to be in an area where you have a top football club and you're seeing, you know, the benefits of the development that your club is spending a lot of money on in this area. So it's great for everybody. It's great for the players. It's great for their families. It's great for the supporters, and it's great for me because, you know, they are Middlesbrough through and through.
And of course, with the amount of games you play in this league as well, having them to call on, and knowing that they won't let you down, that's the the key thing, isn't it? 'Cause you need the players, you need personnel in this league to get you through it.
Yeah, you do, and like I say, I'm not a great believer of big squads. I think that you've got to make your squad as competitive as you possibly can, and it doesn't half help if you can say after 18 players, senior players, you've got 4 or 5 really good kids that can come in and perform as well. That makes it most probably the ideal situation for me as a manager.
And I suppose for those underneath it, seeing the other lads progress, that gives them the encouragement, doesn't it?
There's good people at the club, good people who work in the academy. They're all the people who work in the academy, again, are local people. They understand the area. They understand what the DNA of this place is. So, they're producing people who, are good, honest, hard-working, and technically some of them are very, very good players.
Now, you mentioned earlier about how competitive this league is, and it just goes to show, 2 or 3 results can shoot you up the league or down it. It can change from sort of a couple of weeks, can't it? A couple of results, and suddenly that's why those 4 points you got this week, that could be key for you.
Well, it's like I say, what you've got to do, you've got to stay very, very level. You've got to understand what it's all about, and if we lose the next 3 or 4 games, we'll still be in contention come the end of the season. If we win the next 2 or 3 games, it doesn't mean that we're going to be winning the league and that's it, it's all over. It's going to go right to the end, and I think that makes it even more exciting for everybody connected to the Championship. It's a fabulous product. When you look at the Premiership and you look at the top 6 clubs now, they are the top 6 clubs.
I suppose now with the Premier League obviously going out to the stars from around the world, it maybe means that the league is seeing more of the talent filtering down into this level. That's why the standard's going up.
One of the reasons. But there's other reasons, like I say, I think the quality of the managers and the coaches in the league, and the fact that they're all, I think, clever enough and understand the game enough to to be savvy to win games and know how to win games.
Now, you mentioned your opponents, Villa. Obviously, Steve Bruce did lose his job earlier in the season, but they did seem to have a core of really good players, and obviously we saw that with the goals they scored the other night. So it is an interesting prospect in store this weekend between the 2 of you.
No, like I say, Dean's been left. He'll most probably see areas that are weak that he'll strengthen in the window, I'm sure. But he's also most probably seen that they've got the firepower. They're most probably the strongest team in the league. Their front 6 or 7 players are most probably the strongest team going forward in the league, without a question of a doubt.